everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Emma, and as always, I'm here with Jake. Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Emma. Thanks for asking. I just got back from the supermarket, actually, and I spent way more than I planned to. So today's topic feels very personal.
Oh, no. Well, that actually leads perfectly into what we're talking about today, saving and spending money. It's something literally everyone deals with, right? Whether you're a student, working full-time, whatever your situation is.
Exactly. And I think it's one of those topics that sounds simple on the surface, but when you actually sit down and think about your habits, it gets pretty complicated pretty fast.
Right, because it's not just about math. It's about psychology, habits, emotions. There's so much going on. So Jake, let's start with the basics. Would you describe yourself as more of a saver or a spender?
Honestly, I'd love to say I'm a saver, but today's supermarket trip kinda tells a different story. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I have good intentions, but I can be impulsive sometimes. Impulsive meaning I make decisions quickly without really thinking them through.
I love that you said that because I think most people are exactly in that middle zone. I personally went through a phase in my mid-20s where I was terrible with money, like genuinely terrible. I'd get paid and somehow the money would just disappear.
The classic, where did my paycheck go moment. I think everyone has experienced that at some point. You look at your bank account and think, okay, I definitely earned money this month, so where is it?
Exactly. And that feeling is actually what pushed me to start learning about personal finance, how to manage your own money. It was a bit of a wake-up call, you know? A wake-up call meaning something that suddenly makes you realize you need to change.
That's a great phrase, wake-up call. Mine was slightly more dramatic. I once checked my account to pay rent and realized I had about $40 left for the rest of the month. $40, Emma.
Oh no, what did you do?
I ate a lot of pasta. A lot of pasta. But honestly, looking back, it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because after that month, I completely changed how I thought about budgeting.
See, that's the thing. Sometimes you need to hit a low point before you make a real change. So let's talk about budgeting then, because that's kind of the foundation of everything. For listeners who might be newer to the concept, a budget is basically just a plan for your money, deciding in advance where it's going to go.
Right. And there's this common misconception. A misconception is a wrong belief that many people have, that budgeting means restricting yourself, like you can't enjoy anything. But that's really not what it is.
That's such a good point. I used to think budgeting was this miserable, strict thing, but actually, a good budget gives you freedom because you know what you can spend without feeling tempty.
Exactly. There's a popular method called the 50-30-20 rule, which I find really useful as a starting point. Basically, 50% of your income is the money you earn, goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings.
I like that rule because it's flexible. It's not saying you have to save every single penny. It's giving you permission to enjoy 30% of what you earn, which feels manageable.
And manageable is the key word there. If a budget feels too strict, people just abandon it. They give up on it completely, usually within the first 2 weeks.
So true. I've seen that happen with diets, with exercise plans, with languages. If it's too extreme, it doesn't stick. The same principle applies to money.
Absolutely. Small, consistent habits beat dramatic changes every single time. That's kind of a life principle in general, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, so let's talk about the spending side, because I think that's where a lot of people struggle. Jake, what do you think are the biggest money traps? The things people spend on without realizing how much it adds up?
Oh, great question. I'd say number one, without a doubt, is subscriptions. People sign up for things, streaming services, apps, gym memberships, and then completely forget they're paying for them every single month.
I am guilty of this. I found out last year that I was still paying for a meditation app I hadn't opened in literally 8 months. 8 months!
Was it at least a good app?
I genuinely couldn't tell you. I never used it enough to find out. But that's exactly the trap, right? It's a small amount each month, so you don't really notice it. But those small amounts add up. They accumulate over time.
This is what people call lifestyle creep, and I love this term. It means as you earn more money, your spending gradually increases to match it, often on things you don't really need. The word creep here suggests something slow and sneaky.
Oh, I love that term too, because it really is sneaky. You don't decide one day, I'm going to waste more money now. It just happens gradually. You upgrade your phone, you start ordering food delivery more, you switch to a slightly nicer gym.
And suddenly your expenses are 3 times what they were 5 years ago, even though your lifestyle doesn't feel dramatically better.
Exactly. So how do you fight lifestyle creep? What's your strategy?
For me, the biggest thing is something called a spending audit, basically reviewing or looking carefully at where your money actually went over the last month. Most banking apps will actually do this for you now, categorizing your spending automatically.
I do this every month, and honestly, it still surprises me. Like, I always underestimate, meaning I guess too low, how much I spend on food and coffee.
Coffee is the great budget killer. And I know people say, oh, it's just $4 a day. But $4 a day is $120 a month. That's a significant amount.
It is, and I'm not saying don't buy coffee, I would never say that, but just be aware of it. Awareness is really the first step with any of this.
Right. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Acknowledge meaning recognize or admit. Once you see it in black and white in your bank statement, it becomes real.
Okay, let's shift gears a little, meaning let's change direction, and talk about saving, because spending is one side of the coin, and saving is the other. Jake, do you have a system for saving?
I do now. It took me a while to develop one. The thing that made the biggest difference for me was automating my savings. So instead of waiting until the end of the month to see what's left over, the money gets moved into a savings account automatically at the beginning of the month.
That's such a powerful strategy. It removes the temptation, the desire to spend, because you never really see that money sitting in your main account.
Exactly. The idea is pay yourself first. That means treating your savings like a bill you have to pay, not an afterthought at the end of the month.
I love that framing, pay yourself first, because so many people think of saving as what's left over after spending, when really it should be the other way around.
Right. Spend what's left after saving, not save what's left after spending. Those two approaches lead to very different outcomes, very different results.
That's almost like a quote. Someone should put that on a poster.
I'll get the graphic designer on it. But seriously, that mindset shift, changing the way you think about something, is huge. It's one of those things that sounds obvious once you hear it, but most people don't do it.
So we've talked about budgeting and saving. What about the psychological side of spending? Because I think a lot of money decisions aren't really about money. They're about emotions.
This is one of my favorite aspects of personal finance, actually. There's this concept called emotional spending, or sometimes retail therapy. The idea that people shop or spend money to feel better when they're stressed, bored, or sad.
Oh, I think we've all been there. I know I've scrolled through online shops at midnight when I was stressed and thought, you know what? I deserve this jacket.
The midnight online shopping spiral is very real and very dangerous. And the tricky part is, it does feel good in the moment, temporarily. But that feeling fades really quickly, and then you're left with a jacket you don't need and a slightly smaller bank account.
It's actually very similar to other impulsive behaviors. The short-term reward feels great, but the long-term cost, the price you pay over time, isn't worth it.
And researchers have found that the anticipation of buying something, the excitement before you actually get it, is often more satisfying than having the thing itself, which is kind of fascinating and also a little sad.
That explains so much about why I love adding things to my online cart and then never actually buying them. Maybe I've been doing it right all along.
Honestly, that's genuinely a useful trick. Add things to your cart, wait 48 hours, and see if you still want them. Most of the time, the urge, the strong desire, passes.
The 48-hour rule. I've heard this before, but I don't think I've ever been disciplined enough to actually stick to it. Stick to it meaning follow through consistently.
It's hard in the beginning, but it becomes a habit. And I think building good financial habits is really what we're talking about here at the core, at the heart of it all.
Absolutely. Let's talk about something that I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable about, debt. Because a lot of people are dealing with it, whether it's student loans, credit card debt, mortgages, but it's almost like a taboo topic. Taboo meaning something people avoid talking about because it feels sensitive or embarrassing.
It really is taboo, which is a shame. And by that I mean it's unfortunate, because if more people talked about it openly, they'd realize they're not alone, and they might actually get better at managing it.
Exactly. So what's your take on debt? Is all debt bad?
No, definitely not. There's a pretty important distinction, a difference between what people call good debt and bad debt. Good debt is generally debt that helps you build value over time. Things like a student loan that leads to a higher income, or a mortgage on a property that increases in value.
And bad debt would be things like high-interest credit card debt, where you're paying a lot in interest and not really gaining anything from it.
Right. The interest rate is key. If you're paying 20% interest on a credit card balance, that debt is working against you. It's growing faster than almost any investment could grow for you.
So if someone is in that situation, carrying high-interest debt, what would you say is the priority?
Most financial experts would say pay off the high-interest debt first before you focus heavily on saving. Because mathematically, paying off a 20% interest debt is better than earning 5% in a savings account.
That's really logical when you put it that way. Though I imagine it's hard to see it that way emotionally, because seeing your savings grow feels good.
Exactly. And this is where the emotional and the rational, the logical, sides of money come into conflict. Personal finance is called personal for a reason. What works for one person might not work for another.
That's such an important point. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. One-size-fits-all meaning a single solution that works for everyone, because people have different incomes, different expenses, different goals.
Different relationships with money that often go back to childhood even. How your parents handled money has a huge influence, a big impact on how you think about it as an adult.
That's so true. I grew up in a household where money was always a source of stress. My parents would argue about bills, about expenses, and I think it made me quite anxious about money as an adult.
That makes total sense. And a lot of people carry that kind of money baggage, emotional associations and feelings about money from their past without even realizing it.
I didn't fully realize it until I started talking to a financial advisor, someone who gives professional advice about money, who pointed out that my anxiety was actually making me avoid looking at my finances altogether, which made things worse.
That avoidance pattern is so common. People feel anxious about their money situation, so they don't look at it, which means it gets worse, which makes them more anxious, and so on. It's a cycle.
A vicious cycle, meaning a cycle where each part makes the other parts worse. The only way to break it is to face it directly, even if it's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable is definitely the word. But I'd say most of the progress in life, financial or otherwise, happens outside your comfort zone.
Right. Okay, let's talk about something a bit more positive. Goals. Because saving money is so much easier when you're saving for something specific, when you have a goal, a target.
100%. Research actually shows that people save significantly more when they have a named goal, like vacation fund or emergency fund, compared to just saving into a general account.
It gives the money a purpose, right? It makes it feel real. So, what are some common savings goals people should think about?
The first and most important one, in my opinion, is an emergency fund. This is money set aside specifically for unexpected expenses. Your car breaks down, you lose your job, you have a medical bill. The general recommendation is 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
3 to 6 months? That sounds like a lot when you're just starting out.
It does, but you don't build it overnight. Even saving a small amount consistently each month adds up. That word consistently is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. It means regularly, over a long period of time.
And having that cushion, that safety net, changes how you feel financially. You're not one small emergency away from disaster, which is a very stressful way to live.
Exactly. Financial security isn't just about numbers, it's about peace of mind, knowing that if something goes wrong, you'll be okay.
So, beyond the emergency fund, what else should people be saving toward?
It really depends on your life stage and your goals. Retirement is a big one, and I know it sounds boring when you're in your 20s, but starting early makes an enormous difference because of compound interest.
Compound interest. This is where the money you earn on your savings also starts earning money itself. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It gets bigger and bigger over time.
That snowball analogy is perfect. And the earlier you start, the longer the snowball has to roll. Someone who starts saving at 25 ends up with significantly more than someone who starts at 35, even if they contribute the same total amount.
It's genuinely one of those things that seems like magic when you first understand it. How can starting just 10 years earlier make such a huge difference?
Because the growth compounds. It builds on itself every single year. It's one of the most powerful concepts in personal finance, and unfortunately, one of the least intuitive. Intuitive meaning something that feels natural or obvious.
Okay, we've talked about a lot of strategies. Let's bring it back to something practical. If a listener is hearing all of this and thinking, okay, I want to improve my finances, but where do I even start? What's the single most important first step?
Track your spending for 1 month. Just 1 month. Don't change anything yet. Just write down or use an app to see exactly where every dollar or euro or pound is going. You can't fix what you don't understand.
I love that answer because it's not overwhelming. It's just observation, just watching and learning without pressure to change immediately.
Right. And most people are genuinely shocked by what they discover. Not ashamed, shocked. Because we all have blind spots when it comes to our spending habits.
Blind spots, meaning areas you can't see clearly, things you're not aware of. Great word for it, because that's exactly what it feels like when you first look at your bank statement honestly.
And once you have that clear picture, everything else becomes easier. You can see where you want to cut back, where you're actually happy spending, and where there might be room to save more.
I think the other thing worth mentioning is that it's okay to make mistakes. Like, you're going to overspend sometimes. You're going to have months where the budget goes out the window, where the plan completely falls apart.
And that's completely normal. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is the goal. One bad month doesn't undo all the good habits you've built. The key is to just pick yourself up and keep going.
That's a really important message, especially because financial content online can sometimes feel very judgmental. Like if you buy a coffee or take a vacation you haven't perfectly saved for, you've somehow failed.
Right, and that attitude is actually counterproductive, meaning it does the opposite of what's intended. If people feel like failures every time they make a small financial mistake, they're more likely to give up entirely rather than adjust and move on.
Be kind to yourself, but also be honest with yourself. I think that's the balance.
Well said. And also, talk about money. Talk to friends, family, trusted people in your life. The more we normalize these conversations, the better off we all are.
Absolutely. And if you can, consult a professional, a financial advisor, or a financial planner. They can help you build a strategy that's specific to your situation.
Yes, and many people think financial advisors are only for wealthy people, but that's not true. There are advisors who work with people at all income levels, and the guidance can be genuinely life-changing.
Okay, Jake, let's wrap up with a quick round of your top tips. Give me your 3 most important pieces of advice for someone trying to get better with money.
All right, number 1, automate your savings. Set it up so the money moves automatically before you can spend it. Number 2, track your spending, at least in the beginning, so you actually know where your money is going. And number 3, build an emergency fund, even if it's small at first, because it completely changes your financial security and your peace of mind.
I love all 3. Simple, practical, and genuinely life-changing if you follow through. My personal addition would be give yourself some grace, meaning be patient and kind with yourself, because changing financial habits takes time.
That's a 4th tip worth adding. Change doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't have to.
Wonderful. Well, Jake, this has been such a great conversation. I always learn something new talking with you.
Same here. And now I'm inspired to go review my own bank statement and maybe cancel a few subscriptions.
Do it right after the episode. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening today. I hope this conversation gave you something useful to think about, whether that's a new strategy, a new perspective, or just the reminder that you're not alone in figuring all of this out. Take care of yourselves, be smart with your money, but also enjoy your life. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. And go check your subscriptions.